This episode is brought to you by Purple Banana Travel. If you're looking to book your next Walt Disney World Resort or Disneyland Resort vacation, reach out to Kate at Traveling on the Spectrum on Instagram. For everything from expert trip planning, tips on traveling with kids, and more, she's your travel agent that does it all. For a complimentary quote, contact her at kate@purplebananatravel.com and mention Park2Park podcast. Again, that's Kate, C-A-T-E, at purplebananatravel.com. Welcome to another episode of the Park2Park podcast, where we compare theme park offerings from coast to coast. We don't always see eye to eye, but in the end, we'll try. I'm CJ, and I'm joined once again by Alli. Alli, how are you on this Saturday evening?
It is Saturday. It's the Saturday after Thanksgiving. I'm great because my house is decorated for Christmas. How are you?
I am good. My house is also decorated for Christmas. Can I ask you a question?
You can.
How many trees do you have?
3.
How many trees do you
have?
More than 3.
Really? That surprises me. How many? 5?
5 trees.
Where? What? Okay, I guess I'll be at your house for Christmas, so I guess I'll see them all, but my goodness, I thought I was obsessed with Christmas.
So where are your trees?
Our house is kind of open floor plan.
Mm-hmm.
So they're all kind of in the same area.
Okay.
So we have one in the corner by the dining room. We have one we've got like 3 windows in a row, and it's like in the middle window towards our backyard.
Okay.
And the third one is a tiny tree. It's like a foot tall. And that is on the table where my Xbox is, underneath my TV, but not blocking it.
Gotcha. So we have our main tree, which we moved from our front room to like the family room. So there's one. There's a kid tree in the loft. So there's 2, and it's like a miniature tree. Felix has his own miniature tree. So there's, 3. And then we have one for our bedroom, and we decided that we liked, like, our family room is in the back of the house. In the front of the house, there's like I think it's supposed to be a formal dining room, but they call it a flex room, and we kind of use it as like a extra sitting area. And I just think it looks nice to have a tree in the window up there. So now we have our 5th tree up front in the window.
So when Violet gets a little older, are you going to have 6 trees?
Maybe. She didn't really seem all that keen on having her own tree. So, I mean, the other thing we could do is the one that's in the loft, we can just put in her room. It's the exact same one that Felix has. So we'll see. I saw a pink tree, like a little pink tree, and I said, Devin, we should get her the pink tree. And he was like, no, we should not. So unfortunately, I lost that argument. But yeah, anyways, we're not really here to talk about Christmas. We're here to talk about something else. What are we talking about today?
Well, it's the Saturday after Thanksgiving, and 5 days ago, I was at Disneyland. So
Whoa.
We're here to talk about that.
Yes. So you were there before Thanksgiving?
Yes.
Like 3 days before Thanksgiving?
The Monday before Thanksgiving. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah. About 3 days before Thanksgiving.
Okay. And how many days did you spend in the parks?
We did 2 days in the parks. We did 1 day at Disneyland and 1 day at DCA.
Awesome. Now, when was the last time that you were in a Disneyland resort theme park?
I went to Disneyland this year in March. I don't remember the last time I was in DCA, but Louie and I were talking about it on this trip, and we know we've been on the Incredicoaster before, so it had to be after June 22nd, 2018, but we are not sure when exactly it was because Avengers Campus wasn't open.
Okay, so you were probably there, I'm guessing, for Felix's birthday.
Yeah, I want to say like summer
2019?
It's either summer 2018 or summer 2019, because he was born in 2018, right?
Yes, and did you come out for his birth?
Yeah, we were out there for his birth, and then I know we came out the following year
for his
because
birthday.
Galaxy's Edge as well.
Right.
Yes, and for his first birthday.
Okay. So either 2018 or 2019.
And for Louie, it's been longer at Disneyland, probably like 2016 or so. Oh,
Oh,
wait,
wow.
no, just kidding. Not 2016, because we did Galaxy's Edge in 2019. So he
Okay.
went to Disneyland. The last time he was at Disneyland, I believe, was 2019.
Gotcha. Now, who all was in your party?
So day one, we were a party of 6. It was
Mhm.
me and my husband, Louis, his mom and his sister, and 2 cousins.
Okay, cool.
And then the
And
second day, it was just me and Louis.
gotcha. And where did you guys stay this trip?
So we kind of bounced around hotels a little bit. The majority of this trip, we were there for a wedding and to visit family. So we stayed at a Hampton Inn in Foothill Ranch for most of the trip.
Mhm.
But we did the parks on Monday, Tuesday. So Monday night, Tuesday night, we were at the Sheraton Park Hotel in Anaheim.
Okay, and would you recommend Sheraton Park Hotel?
Yes, definitely. The only downside is no included breakfast, and I assume
Okay.
parking is expensive, but we didn't have a car there. Louis' mom dropped us off and picked us up. But the room was really nice. The bed was really comfy.
Mhm.
Everything was super clean. The
And
the
I'm
only
assuming it was walking distance to the parks?
Yes, it was 3/4 of a mile from the lobby doors to the entrance gates of DCA.
Gotcha.
The only weird thing, and this is not going to happen on anybody's trip for the foreseeable future, but they were changing all of the locks on the rooms during our stay.
Oh,
So we
interesting.
got in late Monday night, after a full day at the parks, and there's a letter on the table in the room that says, "Hey, we're gonna be changing the locks. Come by the front desk sometime Tuesday after 5 p.m. to get a new key." Um, and there were people who were so when we got back Tuesday night, we had to stand in line at the front desk because everybody stayed for the nighttime shows. So we had to wait in line to get our new keys, and then when we're going to there are people who are confused. They're like, why isn't my key letting me in to
Oh,
like the
no.
building where the elevator is? And like you had to elevator scan your key to get to a
Right.
floor. So there were people who clearly did not get or did not read that letter and were
Right.
confused. So
Okay. Yeah. Maybe they should have had, like, signs in the lobby to remind
yeah.
people or, like, a text message or something.
Or like posted in the elevator. Like at the Hampton Inn that we stayed at, there was a sign taped to the elevator that's like, hey, if you need housekeeping services on Thanksgiving, you need to request it by this date and time.
Mm.
Like,
Mm.
so something like that would have been great,
Right.
just a sign on the elevator door. But
Yeah.
yeah.
So for our listeners, so Allie stayed at 2 hotels. The first one was down in Foothill Ranch. If you're planning to go to Disneyland, I would not stay in Foothill Ranch.
No.
It's like 25, 30 minutes south. It's great if you're visiting family or you're on a business trip, but it's not next to Disneyland by any means. So I'm sure it was a fine hotel, but not for a Disney trip.
Yeah, the Monday morning that we got up and checked out of there to go to Disneyland, I had to get up at 5:30 in the morning so that I could
Whew.
be showered, dressed, husband could get through the shower and dressed, check out of the hotel, and eat some breakfast, be at his parents' house by 7 to leave around 7:15.
Right, right.
And we
So
still
what
didn't rope drop.
Oh, no. So, what kind of ticket did you use for your visit, and did you purchase Genie Plus and or individual Lightning Lane?
So Louis and I had 2-day tickets, 1 park per day. We did have Genie Plus, and we did not purchase any individual lightning lanes. I believe
Okay.
everyone else did like a 1-day ticket, and they're all SoCal residents, so they probably got like a SoCal deal or something.
Yeah, you never know. Why don't you give me a rundown of day 1 when you visited Disneyland? What are the things that you did?
So we got in the parks at about 8:30 and walked down Main Street, cried when I saw the tree, cried when I saw the castle. Learned on this trip that anytime I have really strong emotions, I just start crying. Doesn't matter if I'm happy, sad, scared, whatever. I just cry. Um Anyways, so walking down Main Street, I knew all of our party was in the park already because Callie and Casey, the 2 cousins who came separate from us because they live in LA and we were coming from Orange County. Anyways, they let us know they were in the parks. Immediately I'm booking Lightning Lane. And I booked our first Lightning Lane for Indiana Jones. And the reason I did that was because I'm looking at the times for everything. It's 8:30 in the morning, and I'm seeing Fast Pass for 9:30, Fast Pass for 9:45, and Indiana Jones says Fast Pass for 11 a.m. And I went, oh, that is going really quickly. So I booked it. By the time I booked it, we had our fast passes for Indiana Jones at 12:15.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so I booked that one immediately. Our plan was to rope drop Runaway Railway. We got back there and Runaway Railway was closed.
Oh no.
Yeah, so we said, let's pivot. I don't remember if we decided to skip Small World or if that was also closed, but our pivot plan was, okay, let's go do Matterhorn and start with that. Also closed.
Oh no.
So we pivoted a third time and went standby for Space Mountain.
And how long did you wait for that?
Only about 35 minutes.
Why didn't you do single rider?
Because there were 5 of us.
Okay. I'm just, in my mind, I'm like, it'll save time to single ride, but okay.
There were 5 of us who were riding, 1 who wasn't riding, since I mentioned there was a party of 6, but we wanted to ride together. These are...
Okay, that's fair, that's fair.
So the 2 cousins, I'm pretty sure they're Louie's favorite cousins, so we wanted to spend as much time with them as possible, and we're chatting in line, and it's not like the ride, like... I forget what I was going for here. It's still early in the day. The line's not super long yet.
Right.
It's not even 9 a.m.
Okay.
So...
Alright, so after Space Mountain.
Yep, after Space Mountain, Star Tours was a 10-minute wait, so we did that immediately. And I knew I was going to forget, so I made my list in order, and I need to pull it up on my phone. It's been 5 days, and I've forgotten.
I'm going to do the same thing when we go in January, so...
Yeah. On this one, I didn't actually note, wait times for anything. I just noted the order that we did, and if we did standby or lightning lane for it.
Right,
so.
Okay. Cool.
We got off of Star Tours. Buzz Lightyear was listed at, an absurd wait time. I don't remember how long it was, but it was we're not waiting that long for Buzz Lightyear. So we'll come back to it. So I looked on the app, Matterhorn was open, and so we rode standby for the Matterhorn.
Nice. And how long was the wait for that one?
Longer than was posted on the app.
Oh boy. Love when that happens.
Yeah. I think it was only 35 to 40 minutes, so it wasn't too bad, but
okay.
The app said it was 15 minutes, and by the time we got over there, it was
everyone else thought it was 15 and went over there.
Exactly. Yeah. And that was the first time the Matterhorn was open for the day too. So
right.
It opened sometime when we were on Star Tours.
Yeah, so there was that pent-up demand, and yeah. All right, so after Matterhorn.
After Matterhorn, we had a coffee and bathroom break. Not the people who got coffee did not also go to the bathroom. Just to be clear.
Okay.
But we reconvened over by the Red Rose Tavern.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that's called now. I still call it Pinocchio's. Whatever.
I know.
And then we went on Jungle Cruise, and this, because I was texting you from it, this was quite an adventure. First of all, the wait was very, very long, but we figured out that the wait was very, very long because Indiana Jones was down.
Oh,
so we went
Everybody
all
just
the
went
way
right
up
next
the
door.
stairs. Yeah. So we went all the way up the stairs, all the way back, both rooms in the upstairs part. And then sometime when we were in line, Indiana Jones reopened, because when we were coming down the stairs going up and the first upstairs area was completely empty, which was really interesting to see.
Yeah.
Anyways, so on to the interesting part of Jungle Cruise. We get 2 boat lengths away from the dock. Not even that, maybe. We get to the signs of danger.
Right.
And if you've been on it, you know what I'm referring to. And there's an announcement that comes through that says, all Jungle Cruise boats, please, cease forward motion. So our skipper's okay.
Did it come through the boat speakers, or were there others? Okay, there are other speakers.
There were other speakers.
Interesting. I was curious about that.
Yeah. And so our skipper stops. He tells us a couple of jokes, and there's another announcement from outside the boat that says, I couldn't understand what boat name they said, but they said, I think it was Amazon Belle or something like that, return to the dock. And our skipper goes, I don't know what boat we're on. So fortunately, Disney is smart, and they put that paperwork somewhere on the boat where he can see it. So he just opened up his little cabinet, looked through, and he's like, nope, that is not our boat. But yeah, we didn't move past Indiana Jones for probably 25 minutes.
Oh, my lord.
And our poor skipper. First of all, he did a fantastic job. I really applaud him for this. Skipper Nicholas, if you ever listen to this, thank you.
Did you give him a cast compliment?
I should have, and I did not. We were
You
so
can do
done
it through
at
the
the end
app.
of the night.
You can do
Okay.
it through the app. So you go on the app and do it.
Okay, I will not do that at this moment, but I will do that. So he told as many jokes as he could. He told jokes that I know are for the disembarking of the boat. He made up some jokes. He told jokes that were specific for the people in the back, the one that can't see him because there's a pillar in front of him. Anyways, we played a game where we went around the boat and we said an animal that starts with A, then an animal that starts with B, and an animal that starts with C. He said, boy, if I were 10 feet closer, I could tell you this joke about ancient Cambodian Shriners. And then he proceeded to tell the joke about ancient Cambodian Shriners. And
nice.
Oh, he did not have an easy time of it, but he did marvelously.
Nice.
Yeah. So ultimately we did end up moving forward. Everybody clapped. It was great.
So at the end, so this was like a 40-minute journey on the Jungle Cruise, right?
Yes. It was a glorious 3-hour finale.
Okay. And did they give you like a genie redemption lightning lane or anything?
They sure didn't.
That seems crazy to me because in that time you could have done Tiki Room or something.
Yeah. We sure could have.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Yep.
So after your 40-minute Jungle Cruise ride.
After our 40-minute Jungle Cruise ride, we mobile ordered from Pizza Planet.
Oh, yes. I know you like the specific pasta at Pizza Planet.
Yes, the Far Out Chicken Fusilli. 3 of us ordered that, actually, of the 6. But I'll say the other reason that we ordered Pizza Planet is that one of the cousins is gluten-free. And we know he can get 2 gluten-free pepperoni pizzas and be exceptionally happy. And his body will be exceptionally happy eating there, too.
Nice.
Also, he's now subscribed to this podcast. Shout out to Casey.
Heyo. All right. After lunch? Oh, random question.
Yes.
My memory tells me that at Pizza Planet, you can get free refills on your drink. Is that true?
That's accurate.
Good to know. Okay. Disneyland is like really kind of a stickler about the free refills. At Walt Disney World, not necessarily at Magic Kingdom, but the other 3 parks, you can get as many refills as you want, and it's no big deal.
Yeah, that's something that I noticed when we were ordering there. It just said fountain drink, and then when we were ordering dinner at a different restaurant, which we'll get to at dinner time, it said fountain drink. Now pick your fountain drink.
Right. Yeah.
So,
all right.
Yeah.
So after lunch,
it was back to Adventureland to use our lightning lane for Indiana Jones.
Cool.
And this I thought was interesting. I was the only one in our group with a magic band because I frequent the Disneyland parks a lot. And the Magic Kingdom parks too. Both
I think
ghosts.
you meant Disney World parks.
I think I just meant Disney parks. I go to the Disney parks a lot.
Yes.
So I'm the only one with a Magic Band Plus. So I also was booking the lightning lanes for everyone and scanning everybody in from my phone only.
Mm-hmm.
So I go in, I scan, I say, okay, you go, okay, you go, okay, you go, okay. I do that 5 times, and then I hold up my magic band, and I'm like, and I get to go. So you know how it goes and it goes green for everybody? Not at Indiana Jones. At Indiana Jones, it goes yellow and plays the Indiana Jones theme music when you use a magic band. So
I love those little Easter eggs.
Yeah, it was really cool, but I was confused because I'm expecting a green light and a happy noise, and I'm like, what? And the cast member was like, oh, you're good, go ahead. I'm like, thank you.
That's cool. So Indiana Jones, a good time. Were there any effects broken or missing or anything? Because I know they have problems over there.
So the last time I was there, they were closed for a long refurbishment, and they've reopened since then. And there was an effect that was removed and an effect that replaced it.
Don't tell me, because I'll be there in a couple months.
Yes. Okay. I will state my opinion.
Okay.
Good choice on the effect that was removed. And well done on the effect that replaced it.
Cool. All right. moving on. After Indy.
After Indiana Jones, we exit the queue, and lo and behold, standing outside of Bengal Barbecue is another cousin of the Rail family, standing there with her dad.
Oh, interesting.
I guess technically the Wells family. Anyways, so turns out Louie's sister had seen this cousin post on Instagram. She was at Disneyland with her dad, which is Louie's uncle. And so they were coordinating, and
Surprise!
yeah, so it was a surprise. It was a mini cousin reunion.
Nice.
So after Indiana Jones was some chatting time, because even though we had all seen each other on Saturday at the wedding, we didn't get to talk to each other at the wedding like
wedding
2 days previous.
Chatter
so
is a little different than actually chatting. Yeah,
exactly. So it was a little bit of chatting time, but after that, we went to the Adventureland treehouse.
How was that?
So there was a queue for it. First of all, it was not it was not a very long queue. There were maybe like 10 people in front of us, and it moved really quickly. Because there was a cast member just monitoring, okay, how many people just exited, and then telling the cast member at the head of the queue, okay, let this many people in. It moved really quickly. It was cute. It made me realize how badly the Tarzan treehouse needed a revamp, because it's a lot better now. There's a nod to Tarzan's treehouse in one of the rooms. And there are Society of Explorer and Adventurers references.
Oh, yes. Love that.
One thing I forgot to mention, in the Jungle Cruise queue, I spotted an SEA reference that was not there before.
Oh, boy. Okay.
It's a crate that says "Ship to H Hightower."
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You know, next time you hear that Typhoon Lagoon is open, you need to go there, because there's a ton of SEA references there, too.
All right. It's happening.
Yeah. The season is coming. All right. So after the treehouse.
After the treehouse, our our Lightning Lane for the Haunted Mansion Holiday was available, so we used that.
And how was the gingerbread house and all that?
The gingerbread house was actually scary.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's, okay, well, this episode is coming out on Christmas Day, so I guess spoiler for the next week and a half. Anyways, but yeah, it's Von Ginger, and his crypt opens up, and he has this creepy, huge grin. And apparently he's offering a fruitcake, but, like, I couldn't get past the, like, evil, creepy grin that he had. It was just very unsettling.
I'll have to look up a ride-through of that. Okay.
Yeah, or just look up the picture of the gingerbread house this year.
Right.
Because made me uncomfortable. Didn't like him too much. It was, don't get me wrong, it was really well made, but, like...
Yeah.
Not a fan.
I feel
Not a fan of Von Ginger.
Yeah. All right, so Haunted Mansion, I'm assuming you did Pirates around this time as well?
Yes, immediately afterwards we did Pirates. It was only about a 20-minute wait, but it was posted at 40, so that was great.
I feel like that happens a lot with Pirates.
Yeah. And then we got churros!
Woo! The best churros!
Yes, had to be done. We did Stand By for Big Thunder after that. It was a longer wait than I would have liked. It was like 45 minutes or so.
Oh, yeah, that's a long wait.
When we got out of that, I told the crew, well, first of all, I felt like I needed a flag or something, because I was definitely leading the charge all day. I was booking fast passes. I was saying, this is where we're going next. This is where we're going next. This is what's next. But I told the crew, we have time for one Fantasyland ride before our fast pass for Runaway Railway is good. Before our Lightning Lane for Runaway Railway is good. So we're looking at the app, and I think it was Callie said, well, why don't we go on Buzz Lightyear? So we went over to Buzz Lightyear, we waited 20 minutes, and when we were in line, I get a notification on my phone that says, there's been a change to your Lightning Lane. See the app for details.
Oh, no.
So it was about 20 minutes before we were going to go on Runaway Railway, and it went down.
Oh, no.
So that automatically converted to a use anytime after 4:55 p.m. Lightning Lane on any ride.
Right.
So we kind of just kept that in our back pocket for later, because at that point, our only rides left that we wanted to do were Millennium Falcon, which we already
Mhm.
had a lightning lane for, Rise of the Resistance, which we can't get a lightning lane for. We weren't going to pay $20 a person for that, not when there's
Right.
6 of us.
Yeah.
Runaway Railway, which is what we had the lightning lane for, and It's a
Mhm.
Small World.
Right.
So we figured back pocket, we'll hang on to it for later.
Mhm.
So after that, after Buzz Lightyear, we went into Galaxy's Edge a couple of weeks ago, 65 days ago, when I booked our dining reservation for Oga's Cantina. I did not know that we would be a party of 6. I
Yeah.
was told we would be a party of 4. So when I found out we were going to be a party of 6, I checked the app every day, multiple times a day, to see if I could change that to a party of 6 reservation for Oga's Cantina, and I could not.
Mhm.
So when we go into Galaxy's Edge, going to the Millennium Falcon, we pass Oga's Cantina, and I stop at the cast member and I say, "Hi." And I asked very, very nicely if they could update my reservation to be a party of 6, and she took care of it for me.
Nice. Yeah, it seems like even at Hollywood Studios, they're pretty accommodating, especially the more advanced warning you give them. I've done a walk-in as like a party of 4, and we've been able to get it.
Nice.
So, yeah. So I think they save wiggle room in there. Something tells me perhaps more than the other table service places, they just have a little bit more flexibility.
Mm-hmm. So we had a little bit of time to kill before our lightning lane for Millennium Falcon. So we just took some pictures and just kind of hung out, rested our feet. We saw Rey and Chewbacca, and they were leaving a spot. And we said, "Oh my gosh, can we get a picture with you?" And Chewbacca said yes in Wookiee language. But
Mhm.
it was definitely an affirmative. So we got pictures with Rey and Chewbacca. That was really
Nice.
cool.
Cool.
Millennium Falcon's behind us. It's great. Then we rode Millennium Falcon. Only 3 of our party of 6 rode, but we all went through the queue together because we're family and we stick together.
Mhm. Mhm.
Once we got off of Millennium Falcon, we placed a mobile order at the Hungry Bear restaurant.
Oh, I love that place.
Yeah, we had multiple reasons for doing this. One, we were getting tight on time, and it had immediate availability. 2, I
Mhm.
knew it was right outside of Galaxy's Edge.
Mhm.
And 3, it had plenty of gluten-free options for Casey, versus like
Mhm.
Docking Bay 7 had 1.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's not sufficient for him. So we
Right.
went to the Hungry Bear instead and got our mobile order. I think with ordering gluten-free, because not all of us ate at Hungry Bear, but ordering gluten-free, I think it made the order take longer, because
Yes, that
we
doesn't
ordered
surprise
like,
me.
I think it was 4 meals that we ordered, and it seemed like it took way too long.
Yeah.
But in any case, we got our food, we ate our food, and then 3 of our party went and rode the Winnie the Pooh ride, while the other 3 had a small adventure in Galaxy's Edge.
Okay. I'm curious about this small adventure.
Now, this small adventure was Louis's happy birthday from me. His birthday was in July, but this was his happy birthday present. And he got to build a lightsaber.
Can we talk to him about his experience?
We certainly can. You have to give me a
Hey.
moment to get him, though.
Okay.
So hold
Cue
tight,
the
and I have to
Jeopardy
unplug my
music.
headphones.
Okay. Okay, Louis, welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you.
Hello. All right, so you're here to talk about your experience at the lightsaber building thing. I am blanking on the name right now.
Savi's workshop.
Thank you. Okay, so Alli got this for you as a birthday gift back in July. When did you find out that you were going to Savi's workshop?
I believe it was in July. At the time, it was just a printed out piece of paper that said that I was going to become a Jedi in November, and then very small at the bottom, but I can't book it until, what, September?
September.
Yeah, but I can't book it until September. So it
Right.
was basically an IOU at the moment, just because
Right.
Disney has only a
Right.
certain amount of time that
There's
you can book stuff
60-day
for.
windows, yeah.
Exactly.
So, Alli, when you booked, was it difficult to book, or were there a lot of times available?
So I booked on the day that it opened up bookings for this day, and I knew I wanted to do an evening one so that we didn't have to carry a lightsaber around all day.
Yes.
So it was just a matter of, okay, what time do I want to do? And I thought it was easy to book. When I booked, there were plenty of evening slots available.
Cool. Good. Okay, Louis, before you went, what did you know about, I mean, obviously you're a big Star Wars fan. You you know a lot about the Star Wars universe. Had you looked into Savi's workshop before?
I had never looked into it specifically because ever since I learned that this was going to be a thing that existed at the parks, I knew I would do it eventually
Mm-hmm.
because it's expensive.
Right.
And then also by the time that it opened, we weren't in an area where the parks were. So it's like, well, okay, we're going to have to worry about bringing it on a plane also. And I don't know how that's going to be. So it was,
Right.
over time I realized where it's like, yeah, people just carried them onto planes because anytime that we would travel somewhere for visiting family, whether it was in Florida or California, anytime that we were leaving, somebody in the airport would have a lightsaber bag.
No,
At least one person always had one.
It's very obvious to tell Southern California or Florida who has been to Disney and who hasn't, because they're always carrying like a lightsaber or a giant like Stitch plushie or something like that.
Or just wearing a Disney shirt.
Or just wearing current Disney merch. Yeah. It's always just like they came from California, they came from Disneyland, they came from Disneyland, they came from Disney.
Right.
There was recently, we were at the Austin airport departing, and I saw somebody with a Tower of Terror Loungefly. I'm like, oh, I know where they're going.
Nice. So you knew that it was a thing. You figured out I can take it on a plane. Did you watch any like YouTube like I guess not a walkthrough, but did you watch any YouTube videos about it or read any blogs about it, or did you go in blind?
I basically went in as blind as I could. There was bits and pieces that I would see just like here and there across social media of like basically scrolling past, and I would see a picture of what the inside of the workshop looked like, and I would very quickly be like, oh, that's the thing, and go past it as quick as I could, so I would absorb as little of it as possible. But yeah, I certainly had opportunity to learn more about what it was going to be and how it was going to work, but I definitely wanted to go in as blind as I could. Basically the most that I learned going into it was like, you pick the kyber crystal for the color of your blade, and you get to pick, to a certain extent, what parts you get to use.
Right.
I didn't know until the day of when we went into it exactly how the parts worked, but I knew that, there was only so many parts that they had, and I believed that you wouldn't have access to every possible part when doing the build, but I don't remember for sure if I knew that before the actual day of. And then when I had the time to make my choice, I was like, oh, okay, this is how much I get to actually pick.
Right. For our listeners, this part is going to be filled with spoilers about Savi's workshop. So if you want to mute it for a little bit, feel free. Okay,
just
so
before we go into that, I will note the timestamps in the episode description of when we are starting spoilers and when spoilers are ending. So if you want to skip this part, just check the episode description wherever you're watching.
Cool. Okay, so you check in. How many people are you allowed to bring with you? Because I did it with a friend once, like a year after the Disneyland one opened. And at the time, you could take 2 guests. Is that still the case?
It was still the case when we went, yeah. Each builder got to bring 2 guests with them.
Okay, and you took Alli, obviously. Who else did you take with you?
It was one of my cousins that was along for that day also, that he was the most excited about this process compared to the rest of the group, so he ended up being the one that came in as well.
Yeah, it was Casey. I've name dropped him already.
Okay, yeah, it was my cousin Casey. I just wasn't sure.
So with everyone in your party, did you like hold auditions to see who was the most excited?
No, not necessarily. It was kind of just a discussion of between my cousin, my sister, my mom, and then my other cousin, who the 2 cousins are siblings. It was basically a discussion of like who was interested in doing it and who wasn't. And then by the time we got together, Casey was like, I'm expecting that I'm just going to have to like challenge everybody to rock, paper, scissors to see if I get to be the one who goes in.
So what happened at the second wedding we went to in September with this family? We didn't know that Callie and Casey were going to be at Disneyland with us. So I offered it up to Elizabeth. Hey, do you want to be the second? Elizabeth being Louie's sister.
Right.
And so when we found out Callie and Casey were coming, I told Casey, you're going to have to like arm wrestle Elizabeth for it because I already offered it up to her.
Dang. Well, okay. So you get in there. And I know they have you like wait in this little outdoor courtyard. What happened after that?
Yeah. So initially everybody who's a part of it is in their own little like fenced off area to, make sure that only the people who are supposed to be going in go in. But then once the workshop actually opens up, they come out and have everybody come in and basically move into the main area that this is going to be taking place in, where it's a large oval, basically like a workbench kind of thing that's open on one side, so that way the cast members are able to move along the inside of the oval to uh, give everybody their parts and be available for assistance if that's needed, etc., etc. And then each of the builders has a station that goes around the outside perimeter, and all of the guests are standing behind them, able to watch. So that way, it's able to keep the area clear enough that if people need to move or do anything, then it's organized, not just like a mob of people that are all standing in the way.
Mm-hmm.
Once,
And
sorry, go ahead.
how many people were in there? Like, how many lightsaber builders were in there?
For the session that we did, I want to say it was about 10.
Yeah, 8 to 10 feels right.
It was 8 to 10.
And was it full? Or
we had
was
a handful of empty spots. I think the maximum capacity would have been like maybe 15.
Yeah.
Okay.
Close to that much.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
That's
it was
not bad.
mostly full, but
Yeah.
definitely there were still some empty spots, yeah.
Right. So you go to your assigned spot, and what happens in there?
So initially they go into the rehearsed spiel of, thank you all for coming. We know these are dark and troubled times, and we're always happy to, help people who are going to be aiding in the resistance and the fight against the empires or First Order, and, some history about Jedi and lightsabers. But because we are not actually Jedi, like the way that this is done is of, we are helping to create these weapons and distribute them to people who are going to be aiding the benefit of the galaxy, but there is no standing Jedi order. So basically this is like, yeah, we've got suppliers around the galaxy that are gathering the crystals and the lightsaber parts to enable us to create these, in secret in these back rooms, to be able to distribute them and hopefully, add more benefit to the galaxy and fight against evil, etc. And then going through, again, some more of the lore and stuff, they explain how the heart of any lightsaber, its power source, is the kyber crystals, and they've, been able to gather these as well. And along the back wall of the room, they've got this large, it basically looks like it would be a storage container for travel and stuff like that, that has multiple smaller cylinders in it, and they draw those out, and each one has probably like 16 crystals in it along two sides. They're all put into their spots with lights, so they're all glowing, and it's very cool. And they go around the table. They go around the table and offer everybody up of, which color are you going to be choosing? What's the core that you're going to be choosing? And they give a brief explanation of what each of the colors represent and mean. I do think it's very funny that because one of the ones that they offer is the red crystal, which gives you the red blade, which in lore and canon is always associated with the Sith and people who are doing bad things. Their explanation for anyone who chooses that color is that this is color associated with people who are seeking power, who oftentimes can fall to the dark side. But they don't inherently say, or it's like, oh no, we've got a Sith in the room who's building a red lightsaber. So that was,
can you imagine everyone turning on him?
Like, I don't know how accurate that is, but also like, they're not gonna be like, oh no, we've got a bad guy in the room. So I was like, that's a good fun way of doing that.
Yeah, I feel like they can't tell someone you can't build a red one because we're all good here.
Right.
Yeah, and it is the kind of thing where, differing personalities and what you're interested in stuff. It's like, I also think that the red blades are really cool, but that still wasn't my choice. Like, as far as lightsabers, I chose green just because as far as lightsabers have gone, I've always thought that was the coolest. And like, again, as a kid also, just like, yeah, it's good guys and bad guys. The bad guys have the red lightsabers. But even like growing up and, becoming a more nuanced human being and stuff like that, it was still just like, man, I've just always liked the way that the green looks. Like, that's just my choice.
Well, and to me, as somebody who's not into Star Wars, like when I think lightsabers, I think green and red are like the primary colors, and everything else is kind of like extra characters, or I guess, but green and red is like good and evil in it, in my brain at least.
Mhm.
Okay, so you picked your color and everything, and you got to actually assemble the lightsaber.
Yes. So once everybody's chosen their crystal, they bring out the parts trays. And the way that that is distinguished is when you're checking in to do the build, they give you 4 separate
Yeah,
options
like
of
sets.
parts, sets of parts that all have their own unique name, and the design language and style of them is all unique to each of the 4, but all of the parts look like they belong together. So
Mhm.
that way, when they bring out the tray, you're basically given the choice between 10 different pieces, and you'll end up using 5 of them.
You
Okay.
forgot to mention that after you picked your set, they gave you a
Yes, that's
pin.
right. That was the
Right.
identifier. Yeah, when you're picking your set, they give you a pin that displays which set it is that you chose, and then you put it on your shirt, jacket, whatever that you're wearing, something that's visible. So that way, when they go around and they distribute the parts trays, nobody needs to ask you a question. They just give
Right.
you the set that you had chosen, and the spots around the table are randomly assigned, so it's not like they know,
Yeah.
okay, spot number 1 is going to be this blade. It's just we see which pin you're wearing, and we give you
Mhm.
those parts to make sure that
Yeah.
everybody gets what they chose.
Yeah. I remember the pin from when my friend did it, and for our listeners, it's like a Disney pin, like a trading pin,
Hmm.
but you can only get it there. So to me, if it were me, as soon as I'm done with that experience, I'm taking that off and like putting it in my purse or something because I don't want to lose that.
Oh, we did the exact same thing. Yeah, once
Yeah.
we were outside and done with it, I was like, and take this off and put this in your
Yes.
purse, please, because
Yep.
that's
Because
going to
that's a
be the most
very
secure place
expensive
for it.
pin. Yes.
Yeah, the pin itself
Yes.
isn't like that expensive, but it's just like, this is not replaceable.
Yes.
Be very careful with where it
So
goes.
as you're assembling the lightsaber, was it like difficult to put together or pretty easy or?
It was pretty simple. But I'm also speaking from a perspective of I grew up with Legos and Connects and building and assembling and
Mhm.
doing all that kind of stuff forever. So that is a thing that does come very naturally to me.
Right.
But even going through the explanation of what they were doing, it seemed like they definitely designed everything really, really intelligently. So even people who aren't as familiar with putting things together with their hands and stuff like that, it's kind of hard to mess up. Like, they just did a really good job of being like, it goes together like this. This is the direction thing goes. This is how it done. And there you
Mhm.
go. Like,
There you go. Cool.
really, really simple. So very
Cool.
smart.
And then once everyone's lightsaber was put together, what happened next?
So basically, the 2 final stages are they go through and test to make sure that everything is assembled correctly. They've got a device that goes into each hilt, and they test
Oh,
it to make
cool.
sure that everything is lined up correctly. Because uh, part of the thing that, again, is really cool about these is if you've got it assembled incorrectly, there's basically only 3 parts that need proper assembly for it to work right. There's the main core, which the kyber crystal goes into the center of, and then the switch goes in 2 different pieces around it. And as
Mhm.
long as those 3 parts are assembled correctly, uh, it'll actually give you a sound effect of it attempting to start but failing. So that way,
Okay.
it's like, okay, it's actually functioning properly, but something's wrong, which
Mhm.
is a cool little thing. Just one, for style and whatnot,
Mhm.
but also just like, okay, we know that everything is starting properly, so now we can continue the build.
Right.
And then once the rest of the handle is assembled, they test it again to make sure that everything is still functioning properly.
Mhm.
And then once all the hilts have been checked by their testing device, they go around and uh, insert it into the crystal stabilization chamber at each spot on the bench, which the story explanation for it is none of us here are Jedi. None of us are necessarily force sensitive enough to ensure that the crystal is stable and responding properly. Because, again, in Star Wars lore, that's like a whole thing of each Jedi finds their crystal through the force and their connection to it is actually unique, etc.,
Mhm.
etc. But for the build process, they go around and they set the hilt at each workstation to make sure that everything is functioning properly. We get a cool power surge where it dims the lights, and we get a moment of a Jedi Master from the series speaking to the room and basically saying, like, this room is filled with people that are going to be helping with the balance of the Force and the galaxy, etc. And then the final part is each of the builders steps up to the spot where the lightsaber is sticking out of the bench, and everybody grabs hold, and then they drop the lights down, and on the count of 3, everybody activates the switch of the saber, and you see in the spot that it was connected to on the bench, the top of it is a opaque but still somewhat translucent screen.
Mhm.
So you can see around the table, everybody's blades activate and extend into the center of the table. And then
Oh,
the top
cool.
of the chamber opens up and everybody lifts out the lit blade of the sabers all at the same time.
That's so
And
cool.
it's really cool.
Yeah, that is very cool. So what was your favorite part of the whole experience?
I would say it's kind of a tie between that final moment of everybody activating and lifting the sabers at once and just the overall experience of just like, here's a bunch of parts. What do you want yours to look like? And
Right.
being able to put everything together yourself and have it, just because there's the, much cheaper and much less robust version of the
Mhm.
customized saber building that's been at the exit of Star Tours in both
Right,
parks
for forever,
for
yeah.
years and years and years. But
Yes.
that's all plastic. It's got
Mhm.
the plastic collapsible blade that drops down
Right.
into the handle.
Does it even light up?
I don't
Yes.
know. I
I
think
think it does, because I've seen
okay,
little
I was gonna
kids
say
with
I
them.
believe those do,
Yeah.
but like, it's the kind of thing where like, as when I was younger and the new Star Tours first opened up and they created that lightsaber build experience, I was like, oh, this is really cool. And then I actually saw the stations where it was and like looked at all the parts and how it worked, and I was like, okay, this is like a fancier version of the like $15 plastic lightsabers that I bought from Target when I was
Right.
10 years old and Phantom Menace first came out.
Right.
These are kind of expensive for the quality. I don't know that I'm really gonna be
Right.
that much invested in it. Great for younger kids, absolutely, and I
Yes.
think that that's
Yes.
fantastic. But it was just kind of
Mhm.
like, yeah, I'm old enough now. I wish this was a bit nicer. And then,
Right.
of course,
And now
once
we
they
have
built
this.
Galaxy's Edge, they've got the really nice version of it, and the price
Right.
reflects that. But I was just like, I'm gonna do it eventually, and now I
Right.
have, and it's awesome.
Right. So, this is just a really quick question. Did they give you a carrying case for your lightsaber? Because for a while, I think they weren't giving them, and then they did. I'm just curious.
Yeah, they do provide a basic case, but there is
Okay.
a fancier and more expensive one that's available to purchase that I ended up deciding not to, just because I'm going to be carrying it around for the remainder of the day, and then it's
Yeah.
going to come home and it's going to be a display piece. I don't really need
Yeah,
a
you don't need a
carrying
carrying case.
bag.
Right.
So, the admittedly fairly cheap, but still pretty nice one that they provide you with it was going to be good enough. And it's
Mhm.
got, you know, it's not like I've disassembled it, so I can't confirm, but based on the feel of it, it's basically got like uh, a more firm pool noodle type of foam
Okay. Gotcha.
in the bottom of it. So then once you put the full saber in, the blade is completely protected and padded the entire
Right.
length. And then
Right.
there's additional padding around the hilt itself. So
Mhm.
even then, assuming that you're not going to be swinging it like a baseball bat, whacking it into things, if you drop it, a short distance or like bump into a wall or something else with it when you're carrying it over your shoulder, you're not going to be damaging the hilt because it does have more than just a piece of fabric wrapped around
Right.
it for protection. There is a foam layer as well. And then
Cool.
it's, a simple bungee to keep it closed at the top.
What age would you recommend this for? Like minimum age?
Minimum age, I would say probably close to around 10. And even then, that's going to be like if, you've got a kid who is probably a little bit more experienced with putting things together and building stuff just in general. Just because if you're too young, it can still be kind of frustrating just trying to make sure everything's going together, and the end pieces are threaded, so you want to be able to make sure that you can tighten things, that they're not loose. Like the cast members still do go around and check everything when they're doing the final test to make sure that everything's screwed together tightly. But it's still, I feel like it's probably just involved enough that too much younger than that is probably going to be a little bit much for the average kid, at least. You know, some like when I was younger than 10, I probably still would have been fine. But again, I've been growing up on assembling and building types of toys
and on Star Wars.
And on Star Wars, but that's, you know, the fandom side of things is an entirely different topic, because like anyone who's old enough to appreciate swinging around a very cool lightsaber is gonna really enjoy it as far as age range goes.
Well, and then there has to be the maturity too to not really swing that around like crazy. You know,
that's the other thing.
This is not the one where you chase your siblings around.
Yeah, like they are robust enough that they do have like clash effects, so that way if you do, you know, hit it against stuff, admittedly, you know, they even say like it's not a bat, it's not that strong. But if you are like hitting it against things, it takes a little bit of force to activate, but it'll actually do the crashing sound effect, and the blade will flicker light to represent similar the way they will in the movies. But yeah, there is definitely the line of, you know, if the kid is too young or too immature, that it's like, hey, I've given you this lightsaber, but now we have to put it away, and you can only play with it a little bit right now, and then we're still at Disneyland, so we can't, you know,
you can't just
run
bring
around
it out.
swinging it.
What have you done with your lightsaber now that you're home, or what's your plan with it?
I was gonna say not too much yet, because we just got back yesterday.
Hold on. Last night we get home, we get everything inside the house. I go off to like take my shoes off or something, and I come into the living room, and he is just standing there with his lightsaber out. He turns it on, and he just starts like playing with it. It was so cute.
I said not much, not nothing. But yeah, you know, to be also in an environment where we turned off like all the lights, and so we could get the full effect of the blade glow, just because Disneyland is an amusement park. While it's still dark at night, there's still lighting so that you can not trip upstairs or walk into a tree on accident. You know, so I got to play with it a little bit immediately after the build, but then it was like, okay, we do still have stuff to finish for the rest of the day. Put this away, and I'll just carry it and be excited and for the rest of the evening. But yeah, once we got back to our actual home yesterday, was able to turn it on without all of the lights and swing it around a little bit, and that was very cool. But yeah, so the plan is currently undecided between two options of either one, it's going to go across one of the shelves that you can see over my shoulder here.
Only if you're watching on YouTube.
If you're watching the video version. Or the other option is it'll go either in that spot right next to the shelf, or there's a similar spot on the opposite side of the shelf, and it'll be hanging vertically.
That's a good spot for it. I like that.
It's a good size space for it.
You're not going to like mount it over a fireplace or anything.
We don't have a fireplace, but yeah, it's the kind of thing of, I very briefly just earlier today started looking at mounting options. And it's the kind of thing of from a lot of the options that I saw for horizontal mounting, a lot of them are either the pre-built lightsabers that have a smaller radius, or like there are other companies that do basically the similar kind of lightsabers where they are actually like battle ready, but those again are typically smaller in diameter. So a lot of the stands look like they may not fit the grip quite as well as I would like them to have it be free floating that way. And then I also don't want to put in something that's going to be like wrapped around the hilt, which would be more stable, but that's going to be less visually nice. So I'm thinking that I may end up going for an option that's going to be very similar to the way that people will wall mount more traditional swords, where it'll have the blade hanging down and then the hilt up and fully exposed. I'm thinking that's the way I'm going to go with it, just because I have a lot of stuff that I want to put on those shelves, so that space is a little bit at a premium already.
Yeah, yeah, I get that. Okay, last question. Would you do this again? I mean, it's an expensive experience, so would you do it again, or is it a one and done thing and you'll just collect other kyber crystals and hilts?
I think that for the other like building of the hilts parts, I don't know that those are really available anywhere else that I would
Hmm,
be able to get different parts and swap them out for it.
gotcha.
So for that reason, it's something that, you know, if we were to suddenly come into a very large sum of money and I didn't need to worry about that price tag, I would 100% be willing to do it again and pick different sets to be able to get more
Yeah,
options and things like
that
that.
makes sense.
So
That makes
you would do
sense.
it 3 more times?
Maybe 3 more, yeah.
Because there were 4 options, right?
Yeah, there were 4
Yeah,
options
so
there.
you need one of each like style, and you would let me do one of them. Excuse you.
Of
And
course,
then
you're
we can
allowed to do them also, but I would
and
still want to
Allowed.
do more.
allowed, yeah.
So,
The other
okay,
thing
so
is, if you do it 3 more times, you could get one of each color.
I would be able to do it that way as opposed
yes.
to, if I want to get a replacement crystal, they do sell those independently, so that's
Mhm.
not hard to get by.
I heard the
The
black crystal is really hard to get or something. Like it's
Yes.
really rare.
that's the big thing where, if there was a way to have guaranteed that I could get a black blade crystal, then I
Mhm.
would have done that in the build experience. But
Mhm.
because visually speaking and packaging, they're identical to the red. And it's like, well, between a red and green, I want the green. But
Yeah.
if I have a means of getting a guaranteed black that is not that much more expensive, then it's like, well, I'm gonna do that at some point probably because that's really cool.
Okay, so if I see a black kyber crystal for sale, do you want me to just buy it?
Well, the whole thing with that is you're not gonna know
Oh,
because the
shoot.
way that they're packaged
Well,
and sold is identical to the reds. Literally, until you
oh,
put
duh.
it
Yeah.
into one of the lightsaber handles and turn it on, you don't know if it's
Mhm.
a black one.
Okay, so do you want me to buy you one and send it to you?
Or
And it's
no,
like
wait, the crystal
50-50?
itself is actually black. I'm misremembering that. But the packaging is not see-through, so you can't tell until you open
Ah,
the packaging. That's what it was.
curses. It's like those
Yeah.
mystery pin sets. Well, maybe
Yeah.
one of these days
Yeah.
I'll buy you one and maybe it'll be black and
Yeah,
you'll hit
maybe
the
we'll get
lottery.
lucky. But yeah, like that was something when when they first released it, you could actually tell because the packaging was
Mm.
thinner. So people were going into the stores and basically using either a flashlight or the flashlight on their
Oh
phone and shining
no.
it through the red canisters.
Oh,
And if
Disney's
it
gonna
was
shut that down.
darker, you would be able to tell, oh, that's one of the black ones. And then
Uh-huh.
like a couple weeks later, it was like, oh, the packaging's different. That doesn't work anymore.
Right. Yeah, I'm not surprised Disney shut that down.
No, yeah,
Um,
like I understand that, there's like, oh, we everybody do this while you can because there's only so many of them in the red
right.
canisters. But as soon as I saw where it's like, oh, this is a thing, I was like, man, they're gonna be on that so fast.
Yes, yes. Any final thoughts, or do you think we covered everything?
I think that pretty much covered it. The only other final thought that I would say is if especially speaking to the other like big Star Wars nerd adults out there, like if this is something that you can afford and it's not like a financial stress, it's really cool. I do highly recommend doing it as long as it's, not a burden on you. Because again,
Right.
they are expensive and I do
Yeah.
know that.
And it's already expensive to get into the
And
park,
it's already
so
expensive
yeah.
enough just to
And
have
eat
the
there and all
ability.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you for joining us. That was a really interesting experience. I've only been there as a guest once, and it's something that I won't ever do on my
Mhm.
own. So I appreciate the perspective, and I'm sure our listeners do too.
Yeah, sure thing.
All right. And with that, Allie, come on back in.
Thank you, Louie. Can you go make dinner now?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Allie, welcome back. It sounds like you
Thank
guys
you.
had a lot of fun at Savi's workshop.
We did. Immediately afterwards, we went over to the photo pass at the Millennium Falcon and got some really nice pictures of Louis with his lightsaber. He was very happy about it.
Oh yeah, that's something that you have to do. And right now with Genie Plus purchase, you get free PhotoPass downloads. So
Yes.
take advantage of that.
Exactly.
So after your photos, what did you guys do next?
We had a reservation for Oga's Cantina, so we went in there and only half of us ordered anything. It was only going to be me, but then Callie and Elizabeth said, well, we'll make you not feel bad and we'll order the other 2 mocktails. And everyone tried the mocktails.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Cool. And after Oga's, what was next?
After Oga's, we did Stand By for Rise of the Resistance. And the wait time...
What time was that, by the way? Like, what time at night?
Our Oga's reservation was for 7:50 p.m.
Okay, so this is probably like 8:30, 8:45?
Probably a little earlier than that.
Okay.
Maybe 8:30, but I don't think it was 8:45.
Okay, and what time did the park close?
Midnight.
Oh, okay. So what was
It's a holiday week.
What was the posted time? I know, but even here on holiday weeks, the parks rarely close at midnight.
I think the posted time was 65.
Okay, and how long did you end up waiting?
Less than that. So I consider the end of the queue where you enter the room with Ray and BB-8. I think we've gone over that before, and that was only 30 to 40 minutes.
Oh, okay, that's not bad at all. Cool.
Yeah.
And then after Rise
of the Resistance, we had 2 rides left to do, Small World and Runaway Railway. Now, at this point, Toontown is closed.
Yeah.
Because Toontown closes from 8 to 10 p.m. for firework purposes. Mm-hmm. So we said, okay, we'll do It's a Small World. We get over there, and Small World is closed.
No!
But the reason being, it was closed because it was snowing, and they were doing the projection show.
Oh, interesting. I didn't realize it closed for that.
I didn't realize it closed for that either. So we hung out in the snow and watched that for a little bit. And then it ended, and Small World didn't open back up, and Small World didn't open back up, and fireworks were scheduled for 9:30. And it was already past 9:30, and fireworks did not happen that night because of Santa Ana winds. Mm-hmm. So I look over, I see people going to Toontown, and I take a couple steps, and I see Toontown is open. So nice. I say, group, we're going. And we did Stand By for Runaway Railway, and we waited maybe 15 minutes for that.
Oh, nice. Cool. Yeah. Have you done it here in Florida?
Yes.
Okay. Had other members in your party done it before? Or is that their first time?
Louis was the only one who had done it in Florida before.
Okay.
But it was his first time in California. And then Louis's mom rode it with me in California before, and I don't know if Elizabeth had been on it before. Callie did not realize that it was a new ride. She was like, why does Alli want to rope drop this Toontown ride? Why is she so obsessed with this Toontown ride? But then she realized, oh, it's a brand new ride. Yeah, and that's fun. I heard the queue is a lot better than the one here. So much better than the one in Florida.
We'll get to that in a future episode.
Yes.
Okay, and then did Small World open back up? Because that is a highlight during the holidays.
Yes, Small World did open back up. We didn't need to use that fast pass that was in our back pocket, but we did anyways.
Of course, because you paid for it, so.
Yes. So then, rode Small World. I cried like 7 times. It was great. And then we walked out of the park, had to stop for a corn dog on the way out. I did not eat the corn dog, but one person in our party needed a corn dog.
The corn dogs are so good. I understand that.
Yeah. While she was getting a corn dog, some of us went into the Christmas shop that was right there and did not purchase anything, but admired all the merchandise. Wish I had, because there was an ornament that I saw in there that I said, I'll just buy it at California Adventure tomorrow. Did not see it at California Adventure the following day.
So, was it at World of Disney? Rip. Did you check?
Well, we did not go to Downtown Disney.
Okay, what was the ornament of?
That's a great question. I don't remember. I only know I didn't see it at DCA.
Oh, I guess it wasn't that important to you then, if you don't remember.
It must not have been.
Okay, we're gonna wrap up. That was all you did, right?
That was all we did. After that, we went back to the parking garage. First time in the Pixar garage, by the way.
Yeah.
And then Louie's mom dropped us off at our hotel, and we crashed for the night. Yeah, 25,000 steps.
Oof. Okay, so let me ask you about, let's do maybe one highlight, one low light, 2 highlights, 2 low lights. Give me some highlights and lowlights.
My battery is running low. So, highlight, seeing Sarah. That was pretty cool. Cousin Sarah, didn't know she was going to be there. Other highlights, seeing Genie. That was first thing in the morning. I saw Genie and I gave him a hug and I started crying and I was like, it's my wish to be at Disneyland. Thank you, Genie. Yeah, he was actually pretty chill about it. Also saw Jack Sparrow and Jack Skellington just walking around.
Nice.
So that was cool. Getting on the new treehouse was cool. Short wait for Pirates was cool. Being able to go on every single ride that we wanted to was absolutely a highlight.
Yeah.
Low light getting stuck on Jungle Cruise.
Yeah,
That was
that's
just
kind of weird. Yeah.
We also got stuck for a little bit on Haunted Mansion, but we were right next to Hatbox Ghost, so I didn't mind too much.
Cool.
Yeah. Getting to watch that effect a couple times.
I feel like anywhere you get stuck on Haunted Mansion is a pretty good spot.
Yeah. Especially now that Hatbox Ghost is there, because that used to be like the worst place to get stuck.
Yes. The only
now
bright
it's
spot in the whole ride. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Gingerbread House was also a highlight. Crowds were a low light, but it was a holiday week. What did we expect?
Yeah. Cool.
No fireworks was also a low light. We weren't really planning on stopping and watching them anyways, but it would have been cool just to be like, oh, cool, fireworks.
Yeah. That brings us to the end of day 1, and this is running longer than we thought, so we are going to cut it here for today. Our next episode will be day 2 when you went to California Adventure, and that episode we will get into like your overall, what do you think Disneyland's doing right? What do you think Walt Disney World's doing right that Disneyland could do? We'll get into more of those meatier questions. And with that, I think that ends it. You can find us on Instagram at Park2Park Pod with the number 2. You can send us an email with feedback or future episode ideas or more at park2parkpod@gmail.com. And if you want to be a guest, like if you recently went to one coast or the other for the first time in a while and you want to talk about it, contact us and we will gladly have you on the show. Smash that subscribe button. Look at us on YouTube, and Spotify does video podcasts now too. So if you watch on your desktop or something, you can watch us. And give us a rating and review wherever you listen to podcasts.
Yep, and we'll see y'all next time.
See ya!
Bye!